300 feet beneath me is a hidden world that isn't often seen. There's miles of tunnels, shafts, corridors, and rooms created out of rock and anthracite coal. And although this mine shut down decades ago, the evidence of what took place still exists today. So come along with me as we head deep inside the earth here at the Lackawanna County Coal Mine Tour. Now, in case you're not familiar with mine tours, let me tell you a few things about them. Also, I'm not alone today. Joining me is my friend Matt PG. This is his very first time on this mine tour. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that my love and fascination of coal mining and mining history probably started right here. I've been coming on this mine tour ever since I was a little kid. I became extremely fascinated with the unknown, curious of what's beyond the next corner, and also now, as an adult, learning about how miners worked, the jobs they performed, the different methods of extracting coal. So it's kind of come full circle. But this is a mine tour that I enjoy coming to time and time again. And that's where I kind of led into getting into abandoned mines for a while. I've done several of them over the years, and they're extremely fascinating. You find old artifacts, see what conditions were like, but they're also extremely dangerous. That's where mine tours come into play. And fortunate for us, there's not one mine tour in the area, but there's 4, all within an hour radius of each other, and all of which I have documented on my channel. So we do have right here, the Pioneer Tunnel in Ashland, Pennsylvania. There's also the Lansford No. 9 mine. There's the Brooks mine at Nayak Park, and of course the Lackawanna Coal Mine Tour here at McDade Park. But the one key difference from all the other mines than with this one is how you enter into the mines. With those other 3, you enter into the side of a mountain like this. This particular mine, you go down a pretty steep slope, 300 feet beneath the earth, which is cool in itself. Now, this mine operation was extensive when it was open, and I learned that the tunnels went for miles all the way clear across to the valley to the other mountain range clear across there. And these tunnels used to connect to other towns, other mine companies, and you could literally walk from one town to another beneath the surface. It was a literal catacomb of tunnels and corridors and shafts beneath the earth, which still exists today. And that's why we have so many subsidences and sinkholes that do develop, because those tunnels still exist. Many are flooded, some are not, but after decades of the pressure of the earth weighing down, well, something's got to give, and typically it's voids beneath the ground, which are those excavated tunnels by the miners. With this mine though, we're gonna see a fraction of what used to exist, because those tunnels still exist going across to the other mountain range. They're still there, but they are sealed off. So down in this mine, we don't ever leave the property of McDade Park, but basically take what you see, multiply it times 12, and you'll have a good idea as to what the underground network was like, the hidden city, if you want to call it, beneath, but particularly here at this mine. We're going to take advantage of the outside here, show you some of the relics, equipment, and different methods of what took place once the coal was brought to the surface. One of which right here is the coal tipple. And years ago, this was open where you could actually go inside and look down the hopper where the coal would dump into the awaiting dump truck there. Has been sealed off, I guess, for safety reasons, but this is how a functioning tipple would look. The mine cars would come out of the mine, and they would get brought up this ramp via the hoist down there, and they would dump, go through the hopper, into the truck for delivery. And of course, on the surface too, for moving around waste rock piles or excavating earth to get to the seam of coal for surface mining, do have a piece of equipment like this old D8 dozer right here. Motor's still in there. I bet you with a jump pack can of ether, you get this sucker running. But need a better seat than that. It's literally rock hard. Now, when it comes to underground coal mining, one of the biggest things they rely upon is fresh air. And down in the mines, that's hard to come by. But they found a way to do it with a few different methods, but the most common was a fan house. Now, fan houses we've seen at other locations aren't like what we see here today. This is a more smaller, condensed, modernized version. But this is also home to the hoist house second opening. And this I have a special tie to because I actually rode in that capsule. So a number of years ago, it was the early 2000s, I did the mine tour, and I was down there with a group getting the tour, and we were just past this area beneath the ground after we learned about it. and the mine car that was taking the people up to the surface blew an axle halfway up the slope. It blocked the slope entrance, and there was no way for us to get up except for this. So they actually had to have crew come here, power on the hoist, open up the hatch underground, and drop this down 300 feet to us beneath the surface. And we rode up 2 to 3 people at a time. And thankfully, I'm not claustrophobic, but some people are. There's not a lot of room in here. So it is your only real escape from a situation like that. And it's all being held together with this steel braided cable right here. That is your lifeline. So that was a snap while you're plummeting 300 feet beneath the surface. And they have actually used these for other mine extractions. I think it was the Chilean mine disaster, and another one where they actually drilled a large borehole and were able to lower down a capsule like this, probably half the size of this for one person at a time. But they have done or used this method numerous times. And down here is how they get the fresh air. Now what this does is it pulls in the fresh air into the mine slope and expels it here. So it's a constant exchange of fresh air. And if you stand down here where the breeze is, it is a cool 50-some degrees temperature coming out of there. And it's also smelly. It smells like a mine. It's damp, musty, has a distinct odor. But if you ever want to cool off here, well, this will do it because it's nature's air conditioning from 300 feet beneath the surface. There's the hoist house, which is the man position. Large electric motor, big drum with the steel braided cable, which is responsible for bringing that man trip in and out of the mine. Same method they use for the coal miners is used today for the public to enter and exit the 190 slope. And I forgot to mention too that the total distance you travel down into the mine is 1,300 feet. So you're going down at a slope, there's some twists and turns. It's basically like a slow backwards roller coaster of a giant lift hill. But it is 1,300 feet in length until you reach the bottom. And once you're at the bottom, you are anywhere from 250 to 300 feet beneath the surface in different areas. Now I'm gonna go get my other camera, which does much better in low light, because it is dark down there, obviously. There is lighting. I'm bringing a flashlight, but I want to give it the best viewing experience possible. And this will be my first time filming this mine tour with my Pocket 3, which does phenomenal in low light conditions. So we should see it in ultimate clarity, get to see all those dark areas. And also, as you can tell, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, even though it's warm outside, because underground, it's a constant around 53, 55 degrees. So it's natural air conditioning all year round. So in the wintertime, it's warm down there. In the summer, it's nice and cool. Matt didn't bring a long sleeve shirt. I came prepared, but he'll survive. He's a big boy. So if you ever want to see two modern day dad bods wearing Bob the Builder helmets, here's your chance. Don't we look glamorous? Oh boy, safety first. So they're taking the last group of kids down. We are the next trip. So once it comes back up, we will be loading. Better hope that cable never snaps. It's a free fall, 1,300 feet in distance, all the way to the bottom. I don't know how many tons that cable's rated for, but it could probably pull a few semis if it had to, so that's not much weight for it at all. And special thanks to the employees for allowing me to get a view of the hoist house and the operator up there. As long as he has permission, they let you come in, check it out. Can't talk to the operator while he's working, but you at least get to see the operation in action, which is pretty awesome. All right, we got front row, we're off.
Is that a coal mine in Ashland? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much history. My teacher, Linda Bonner, she grew up in this area, and two of her family members, her grandfather, father died in the Ashland.
Okay.
It's like when we keep in close contact. You know, Walter, I can't believe you. It's like, it's good you're doing this, but.
And say goodbye to the daylight.
Right here at the Clark bed, it's the widest anthracite vein. These are like different veins. We've got 7 of them, almost like a chocolate layer cake, right? Icing, sediment, the granite. We're right around here, okay? 300 feet. We're going to be moving up a little bit, 25 feet, just a little bit, towards the Dunmore bed and the Dunmore number 2 bed. And we'll see some of the, like the belly veins there. All right, this was, we're here for one reason, all right? We're here, you know, the miners that came here in 1860 when this was open, we're here for one reason, right behind you. That is 100% Pennsylvania anthracite, about 96% carbon, and it takes about 55 feet of soft coal to make 5 feet of anthracite. So it's been like reforged. So it's coal, soft coal, like the bituminous coal, but it's been reforged in the fires of the earth. All right. If, like when I'm in my backyard and there's a tree that falls down, and I just let it alone because nature's doing its thing. Eventually, it will just decay into humus. And then it'll go into like a peat moss, maybe, if there's the right conditions that they burn in Ireland. And then it goes into a soft coal, and then sort of a ligneous coal, and then anthracite, and then the last thing is really graphite, which they use in pencils. And if you guys have some information that you could help me with, like any science teachers or anyone like geologists, you're like, yeah, Walter, what you said there is actually pronounced this way. I'm like, oh, my bad. All right. Yeah.
The only thing with the soft coal I noticed bituminous.
Bituminous.
Bituminous, yeah.
Bituminous. What did I say?
Bituminous.
Bituminous.
Yeah.
See? Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How many syllables?
3?
3. Bituminous. Bituminous. Bituminous.
Bituminous.
Bituminous.
Yeah.
Bituminous. 4.
4, okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're teaching each other here.
Yeah. How do you say karaoke?
Karaoke.
It's not karaoke.
It could be.
See? I just so...
If you have you might have your own language. I don't know.
I think I do. I think I do. But thank you so much. And that goes with everything here. All right. So we have here a vein. You can see how the mountains form the veins, where it's not, horizontal. right? It just goes, it runs in different angles. So it would go down, right? They have it boarded up a little bit. Because that would conceivably go down to 523 feet, and they would mine from the bottom, all right? They would not take from here, all right? Because that's the pillar over there, and then they would work their way up. You could mine this all the way up to the surface. So how did you know you got to the top? He says when the blueberry bushes started falling in, right? That's when you got to the top, when you poke through the surface, and then they would just backfill it, right? Usually they wouldn't go all the way up. Bill, he said his nephew was building somewhere in Dunmore, did all this activity, and he invested.
Knob and tube wiring right there.
Train rails for a living. And so he was just like, he was so happy to see that little fry. He was like, it's so quaint.
It's a mechanic's pit right here.
And it's so dark, you're walking through what's called dust.
Further tour numerous times. I'm just kind of showing you highlights and sharing a few other details.
And you're walking through coal dust and rocks. Yep. All right, here we have the flip phone. I think I might be the oldest here, right? I remember growing up in the 80s, the phone was in the kitchen, and I would have to call my mom's making lasagna, and I'd call up somebody, I'd call up a girl, and I'd have to talk to the mom. Hi, Mrs. Cratchwell. Hi, yeah, it's Walter. You don't know who I am? What? Lisa hasn't talked to you about me? What? And my mom's like, Walter, who are you talking to? And she's like, yeah, Mom. So I had to take the cord around the corner and sit down. This thing's 100 years old. This will still be working 100 years. This thing, it may not make the day.
Correct.
Or you call the foreman. All right, but this was a party line, so anyone you're talking to can hear, right? Which is also a bit of a problem. You got to keep it professional, and so the flip phone. Right. Now picture the noise in this place. It's dark, it's wet. You're walking through a open sewer practically, right? And the noise of these machines rattling, boom, 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 and then you have the anthracite banging up against this, bang, 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 bang. And then you could have like total silence too, where it's like, not only that, but you have explosions happening above you, below you, and they're all around because you're working the seam, but your buddies are down there working that seam. They're working down in the Dunmore, and you have 487 thereabouts with the highest number of employees here. By the time the mine closed, we had like 87. All right, so my job, before 1902, I would get paid by how much coal I brought out of the mine. Well, how much they thought I brought out, because they could say, 75%, when it's actually a full car of 100% anthracite. And they would put it on the end of this, and then they would drill. Their buddy would be on the back, holding them, pushing on the back for the tension, and they make a hole pretty deep. All right, because you gotta shove the dynamite in there, or the black powder, and then you put a bunch of other kind of stuff in there. The rocks, you stuff it, and then what you would do, you take these sticks of dynamite that you'd have to pay for. All right, the miners would pay for this. The company, the three railroad companies. I forget which railroad company. Anyone know which railroad company owned the Lackawanna mine? I have to look that one up.
It was DL&W maybe?
I think it was.
Yeah.
There's three of them because they controlled everything. They were like the robber barons, right?
Lehigh Valley maybe?
Right? So I would have to pay for these at the company store most likely. Put them into the different holes I've created. Right? Maybe a hole right there. I wired all up. I got this from the Acme company, like Wile E. Coyote, Bugs Bunny. I don't know if anyone understands that reference there.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Wile E. Coyote, right? My girlfriend used to say, not my wife, Mary Jane. She's like, Walter Brown, super genius. You're a super genius. All right, so positive, negative. I go down with my wire, and we don't have any, we don't have electronics to let people know we're going to blast. So we have to use our big voices. Who would like to, who would like to blow something up? You want to blow something up? All right, so you're going to say fire, then fire in the hole, and I want you to listen. Pay attention to how many blasts you hear. That's very important. Okay, ready? So fire, fire.
Fire, fire, fire in the hole.
How many did you hear?
10 right now?
There we go.
I just think it
I'm gonna say that.
10 or 11,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was
So we
like,
got 10.
I lost
Because
count, do it
because,
again.
You know, with my 8, hey Walter, hey Walter, hey Walter, yeah, what? Ah! I'm saving water.
Bunch of cribbing up there. Gotta find Matt.
They'd be down here 10, 11, 12 years old, and they would bring the mules back up into the mine. They would not bring, the mules would not bring, they would not carry, they would not pull a loaded car. It was just too much. So everything that you see here, we're actually going up, so incrementally. But the cars would go down with gravity, and then get to the hoist and go up to the tipple, then they go to the breaker.
Wooden rails.
And then the mule boys would lead the mules back up the mines to be filled, and then go back again. So it was a constant cycle. Right, so this boy would be probably from the breakers. If you were working the breakers, you would want to come to the mines. That's where the men were. All right, that's where the action was. Right? That was just the farm club. This was major leagues down here. All right, so he'd be down here with his sprag, directing the car, right? And if he wanted to stop this thing, there's no brakes, he'd have to put a sprag underneath the wheel to stop it. Think about how dangerous that is. That thing's rolling. It's heavy. The mule, the donkey is an animal. It's unpredictable. It could kick you. It could, you're walking in the dark with that little carbide lamp, right? That oil might be 25 cents. Regular price, it might be 75 cents in the company store. And you also don't want a large flame because you don't want to set off any methane, right? But so the mule boys will be very dangerous. So they could be walking around without a hand. They could have their arms severed, and we have gangrene because we don't have antibiotics. And so they put you back into the breakers, much like they would older gentlemen who couldn't do the blasting and were getting frail, but they work in the breakers. In width, right? You need it to be about that for it to be viable, right? And of course, we have a poor miner here from Slovakia, let's say, or Slovenia, and his helper here got crushed. Donnie McDonaldson from Scotland with the plaid here, right? And there's so many ways. It was so dangerous, so incredibly dangerous.
See that corrugated metal and wood as protection, loose material. And keep in mind, back in the mining days, this lighting wouldn't be down here. Just have your carbide lamp.
Right here we have the boss man. Right, the boss man would be the foreman. He would have 5 years experience, probably some connections to get him into a foreman position. And he would come down 5 in the morning before everyone comes down to check the mines and see if they're okay.
This is a rock tunnel, complete solid rock. No timbers or stalls required here for props. But also, they made no money mining this out. It's basically just a connection from one seam of coal to the other. But it's probably one of the safest places down here because there's no coal. It is just solid rock.
Right? So if you go to Lowe's, that's going to be cheaper than, say, this beam right here, right? This pillar, right? You wouldn't maybe have to use as much dynamite, right? You may be using 10 sticks of dynamite in the Clark bed. This might have 4 or 5 sticks of dynamite.
Belly
because
vein.
you would get to here, and then you blow, and then you clean up. That's all mining is doing, is you're blowing things up, cleaning up. Blowing up, cleaning up. 12 hours a day, putting the coal onto these jalopies, very, very loud, boom, 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 rattling.
See some AMD here, and this is a shaker chute. So
No,
belly miners would load it. This would vibrate and shake, bring it down to an awaiting coal car right down here.
The wives and the children of miners would develop.
Makes you wonder, does that go around the corner or does it stop?
Problems because just around, it's like secondhand smoke. It's like secondhand coal.
I thought those were skeletons. Those are the housings for the lights. That was bones.
Yeah, for 11 cents an hour. All right, let's go through here. It's like, oh my God, I hate school, and they're like, you realize the taxpayers are paying for you to be educated for 18 years, and you're not taking advantage of that, and you can do anything you want with this, and you're just letting it, like, and just like, can you just imagine, like, these kids, like, all right, leave school and go into the mine. Oh.
Up here where the hoist capsule is where I got basically rescued out of the mine that I explained earlier.
Even all this water, it's always dripping.
That'd be to stop airflow going through there.
But it's because it falls down the grass, and then just seeps through. The water wouldn't be here, just the hole is wrong. It's only here if you dug a hole, and the water's going to the hole. Right. So here we have a second air shaft, right?
Yeah, off camera I was telling the tour guide that I actually rode up this early 2000s. Right up to the surface. And that air is just sucking the moisture up there. Strong ventilation. He's like, you survived. I'm like, yep, I'm back to do it again.
County, Lucerne County, but you had 100 and some who were Polish, Latvian, and Lithuanian miners just demonstrate. And then you had about 20% of the funds would go to people who were off the books. I would be like down here, but I'd be working for the company, making sure that, you know, or as a thug, as a heavy.
Dividing concept.
Oh God, yeah, it was definitely dividing concept. Walking back.
Here's one of the chutes,
Here's the end.
basically a gravity chute.
Right, but it ended for reasons like things that used to be very,
It goes
very
far,
popular,
back pretty far.
they're no longer in fashion, right?
And they'd have these blocks to kind of stop the flow. But again, it would dump right into the awaiting empty cars right here. Fill it up, send it out with either the mule or the electric Loki.
Even the hats that women had, you know, Bud Light before Vatican II.
A little bit taller than a belly vein, but still can't stand up there. It's only tall enough for the vein of coal.
You couldn't pay me enough to be up in there.
I'd go up there, but I wouldn't be happy. That's the vein of coal right there. It's only about 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet.
Right. So let me turn off the lights, just for a little bit, right? And I'll turn it back on. All right. Imagine working. This is what you have to work with. It's like, it's crazy. Now I could have my buddy down here too, and then even if we all had a lamp like this, right? It would you would just basically just able to maybe see, but not really, right? Crazy. Just how challenging, dark. It's just, and then you go up, and then it's dark already, right?
So this is the face. This is where they stopped working once the mine shut down in 1966. This was the last area right here, and they're mining out the vein of coal, and now it's just part of the tour. So one thing I learned during this tour that I didn't learn in the previous tours is that where we are right now, we're about 50 feet up higher than where we first got off at the mine trip. So there, where we got off unloaded, is 300 feet beneath the surface. Here is about 250 feet beneath the surface. And the reason for that is because of gravity. When they bring the loaded coal cars out to get pulled up, well, they want to have gravity working with them. So there's less friction, less resistance. So those loaded heavy coal cars can be pulled by the mules or the Lokis with a little bit of a slope going downwards. And then the empty ones bringing back, well, they're not going to be nearly as hard to pull upwards, a little bit of that grade. So a little bit of information I learned on this time that I wasn't previously aware of. Well, we are back out in the daylight, a little bit warmer up here, a lot brighter. But having not done this tour in 5 years, it was great to do it again and to do it with a friend who's never been on it. get to see his excitement and his expressions on his face of some of the environment down there. And we're gonna find out what Matt's thoughts were in just a moment. The tour guide, Walter, he did a great job. And each time you come, each tour guide kind of shares and explains things differently than the other ones. So no matter who you have as a tour guide, you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna hear some personal stories, some personal touches. They put their own little spin on things. Some have a great sense of humor. Some are more serious and to the point. But as a whole, each time you come, you pretty much will learn something new and different, as I did today. Learning that when we first unloaded, we were 300 feet beneath the surface, and where we ended, where the face was, we were 50 feet higher in elevation. You don't really realize it as you're walking through, but it makes perfect sense as you learn how the mine cars are gonna work with gravity and stuff like that. Without a doubt, like I said, each and every coal mine tour in the area has something different to offer, but this is the only one here that you do descend down a pretty long, steep gravity slope, 1,300 feet in length, being 300 feet beneath the surface. But this is more of a highlights tour because I've done the tour so many times. I just wanted to show you some key highlights, show you some areas with my flashlight that you can't normally see, and share a few key details as the tour guide was talking to the first timers. But Matt, you want to come on over? So which tour mine have you done already?
So far, before this one, I did the Pioneer Coal Mine Tour that we did back in 2020.
Oh, so you did this one here, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but that was the only one. This was my second one doing it, and I was on vacation this week, and I did want to come up and do either this one or the Pioneer Coal Mine Tour again. But I really enjoyed this one. I definitely did not dress appropriately. I should have had at least a sweatshirt for this one because it does get quite chilly down there, probably about a solid 50 degrees. And there's a lot of areas where you have constant wind flow going through the mine shaft. But just to hear the history and what the workers went through, as we were coming up, I said I couldn't imagine being down there for 12 hours straight with no light, and really poor work environments. One of the most dangerous jobs you could have back in those days. So, but yeah, it was really informative, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. Would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're going to do hopefully Lansford number 9 next, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, each and every tour and location has something different to offer, and we did get our official mining certificate, so we are official now. We're able to work down in the mines. And on the back, which I'll put on the screen for you guys, is the pay for all the different employees. And I was telling Matt, like, just imagine that you're getting paid to do a really dangerous, difficult job. You're getting paid minimal of what you should be actually earning, but then you're using that same pay to buy your products from the company store. So the company is getting their money back that they pay you, and you're only left with a few cents at the end of the day. It's really brutal.
I think they figured it out. In today's money, it would be equivalent to like $4 an hour.
Yeah.
Is what they were getting paid. And like Jay said, you had to buy the dynamite, you had to buy your tools, everything you had to do for your job, you had to pay for. The company did not provide that. So you went home at the end of the day with literally pennies on the dollar.
And I think for certain, like me being a person who loves underground cramped spaces, I think I could make it as a coal miner. The only areas I wouldn't like is the belly veins, where you're basically laying on your belly, chipping away and shoving the coal down. It'd be pretty brutal.
I'm just the opposite. I don't like being, I'd rather be up high than be underground in cramped spaces. I'm claustrophobic, so those like you said, those belly shafts were not
I think
not ideal.
The perfect job for me would be the Loki driver, just hauling the loaded coal cars in and out. But I do want to thank Meg for joining me today. This is something that we talked about doing. I'm glad he got to experience it. And I was glad to be back here within 5 years to give you another updated look at it. Like I said, if you want more information and to see other videos, they will be linked down below. I will also link their website. It's only $12. You basically have a ton of things to see on the ground up here, but then you're down beneath the surface for roughly an hour or so, and it's about a half-mile walking. Not too bad, pretty level, but the hard hats definitely came in handy, especially for Matt.
I counted 6 times I hit my head.
Yeah, I hit my head about 3 or 4 times. But back in the day, when I did the tour years ago, they didn't make you wear those. You found out the hard way where there's a low spot. But anyways, thank you guys so much for coming along, for hanging out with us, and joining us 300 feet beneath the surface here at the Lackawanna County Coal Mine Tour. Otherwise, take care, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.